to Cultivated Conversations. And this particular iteration of Cultivated Conversations is all about holiday blues. I'm so glad that you've taken a moment to tune in. I hope you stick around and keep watching. We've got some great information, great conversation coming your way. I want to introduce you to the folks we'll be having some conversation with today. We have Dr. Keshawna Beasley. Most of you, if you are Macedonia members or you've been around Macedonia any amount of time, you will recognize Dr. Key as the director of the Ignite Kids Children's Ministry. But in just a moment, she is going to tell us a little bit more about her professional credentials. And then we have Pastor Tooks. Most of you know him as the crooning pastor. His official title, of course, is the executive pastor and the pastor of congregational care here at Macedonia Church of Pittsburgh. And in just a moment, he's going to tell you a little bit more about his credentials. So Dr. Key, will you tell us something about yourself?
Hello, everyone. My name is Dr. Keshawna Beasley, and I am a licensed professional counselor with the state of Pennsylvania. I'm also a board certified national counselor, and I am a licensed behavior specialist within Pennsylvania. In addition to that, I'm a certified trauma therapist, and I work with persons who have experienced traumatic events. The doctor piece, my PhD is actually in the School of Education.
Awesome sauce, thank you for that. And Pastor Tooks, PT, will you tell us a little bit more about you?
Sure. I've been in pastoral ministry for about 25 years. Pastored 10 years in the city of Denora, and then educational-wise, Master's of Divinity at the Pittsburgh Theological Seminary, and worked in the mental health field for about 9.5 years. And so most of my experience comes from those pieces, besides some certificate programs that I've been involved in and learning the counseling field. Yeah.
Awesome sauce, thank you for that. So I know you guys are probably wondering, what is this Cultivated Conversation series? Well, Cultivated Conversations is exactly what it sounds like. It's just some really honest God conversations, but real conversations. And so addressing some things that you might not normally hear from the pulpit or the stage, or addressing some things that you might not normally hear talked about in the church. And even at some point, subjects that might have been considered taboo. We want to talk about it because we need to talk about it. Let's face it, right? And so Cultivated Conversations is all about having those real God conversations. All right, so as I said, this particular conversation is all about the holiday blues. I know, we don't like to talk about it, but a lot of us are going through it. And so we wanted to not just talk about the holiday blues, talk about some of the stressors and things that kind of get us to that place, but we also want to hopefully give you guys some tools that will help you to overcome the holiday blues this year. We're not gonna sit under the holiday blues this year. We're gonna come out on top, all right? So let us talk about it. PT, Dr. Keshawna, have you come face to face with this holiday blues phenomenon, whether people call it that or not?
I would say absolutely. I think this space is awesome because you're taking the mystery out of holiday blues. It's very common, and especially amongst the months of November and December. I think within my professional setting, it's good to clarify holiday blues is not necessarily a mental illness. And so there is a difference, and that has to do with, the duration of time and the intensity, and whether it's interfering with other things in a space longer than that time period of holidays. Holiday blues is really real. I think I have encountered many people who, for whatever reason, whether it's been because they've recently lost a loved one and now they have to face a holiday, and they have memories connected to those holidays, doing specific things that now they mourn the loss of not being able to do those things, or whether certain holidays add economic stress on them because they feel like they have to provide a certain amount of things for children, whether that's gifts or toys, or whether there's just relational strain within family or friends, and now the people that you might have linked with in times past, you are anticipating the fact that you won't, and so that can bring along the holiday blues.
Yeah, yeah. PT?
Yeah. So definitely experience the holiday blues. I think a lot of times people will try to hide it, especially church folk, you know, because there's image of Christ and the image of having the joy of the Lord is my strength, and all of those things that comes with, you know, the Sunday experience. You know, however, the holiday blues can hit you once you have left that sanctuary. For me, you know, at 51, I'm experiencing losing people, the beginning of losing people in my life now.
Yeah.
You know, my brother passed away 4 years ago, my best friend a year ago, my cousin 3 years ago, you know what I mean? And so I'm slowly starting to see what I've known start to disappear.
Yeah.
And so the anxiety of holidays are hard because you remember what holidays were like, and then all of a sudden that starts to change. And the danger that I often see that sometimes I got to be careful of, that others do, is they try to go into holidays trying to capture the past and trying to capture a feeling.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? And then when it's not there, the way you used to have it, you know, you can run into depression. You know what I mean? And I think that's a piece that a lot of people really don't try to deal with. They want what they used to have, you know. But, you know, saying all that to say, you know, it is definitely challenging for me in the holidays, but planning is very important.
Yeah.
And also making sure there's a spiritual connection that I'm having with God and really understanding what the holidays is about versus what people make it. So
Yeah. Yeah. So thank you both, of course, for sharing that. And you guys, between the two of you, lifted up just a lot of different stressors or causes for the holiday blues, right? Because I think oftentimes what happens for us is sometimes we can get lost in our own experience. And so, you know, for one person, it might be experiencing grief. And so in their mind, the holiday blues is all about, when you've lost someone, it's difficult trying to, as you said, kind of living in the past and trying to recapture that somehow in the present. And for someone else, it might be that they're single and they want to be in relationship, or they see families and relationship all around them. And so in their mind, holiday blues is all about being lonely or being alone, right? For someone else, it might be, as you said, the financial strain. You know, for someone else, it might be the reality of every time my family comes together, it's always a mess.
Right.
So anticipating that, right? And for each of those individual people, holiday blues looks like this one thing. And so I appreciate you guys really just kind of opening it up and saying, no, there is a plethora of reasons why we kind of fall into that holiday blues phenomenon. And so I think, one, helping people to understand that you are not the only one who's going through the holiday blues. And something that you guys kind of alluded to, but I kind of want to go there a little bit, and we were talking a little bit about this before we even started. But this guilt sometimes that is attached to experiencing the holiday blues. So not just experiencing the blues, but then on top of experiencing the holiday blues, a guilt about feeling that way. Oh, it's the holiday season, you know, I should be happy, or it's the holidays and everybody is expecting this of me. And so then there's the guilt that's attached to that. Can we talk a little bit then about, what that looks like, and sometimes the cycle that can create, a vicious cycle that can create?
Yeah, sure. And it does create a vicious cycle, you know, at least from the spiritual perspective. People get caught up in the fantasy. The TV and now social media makes it worse. You know what I mean? And so people are trying to capture an emotion that the world has made, you know what I mean? And in reality, they're not happy with themselves. And so, you know, guilt can come in because you're not the so-called in the holiday season happiness, you know, feel that, you know, people try to give through presents and gifts, and, you know, just the music, the Christmas songs, and those type of pieces. But the problem is, I think people sell out the fantasy too much, and they're looking for that, and they feel guilty when they don't have that feeling, and it's not reality. You know what I mean? And so I try to talk to people about what's real. You know, what's going on that's real. You know what I mean? And a lot of time guilt comes in because we're trying to keep up with what everybody else is doing. And it makes it difficult because really if the truth be told, most people on Facebook, social media, you see all them pictures, they're not living like that. Some people are just sad, just as sad as the rest of the world, you know, but really not finding themselves and what God's purpose is for their lives, you know. And that takes time to be able to talk and flesh some of those things out.
Yeah. That was good. You hit on this idea that people are trying to capture an image. They're trying to, you know, they see something on TV or they see something on social media, and then they're trying to live it in their own life. They're trying to recreate it, if you will, in their own life, in their own circumstances. And like you said, all of these kind of really unrealistic expectations. Yeah.
And people do that all the time. They put unrealistic expectations on themselves that they'll never be able to reach.
Yeah.
Yeah, and I think that's really important with us supporting other people, that we don't place those guilt trips on people. You know, when we have an idea about what we want to do with maybe friends or family or people we encounter, and they don't view the holiday the way we do. And so we put our expectations on them about what we should be doing during this season. So whether that's holiday shopping, whether that's decorating, oh, you sure you're not going to decorate? Oh, why aren't you going to? Or let's dress up, or let's do, and someone is saying no. I think it's really important for us to be conscious that a person, their expectation or their experience with the holiday might be different than ours. And so just being sensitive to that and not placing guilt on people, because although people experience guilt because they want to live up to expectations, I think people also place those burdens on others because they want that friend that they can go shopping with, or they want that friend to do these different things with. And they may be trying to recreate their own moments and placing an expectation on a person that's not ready to do that at the time. So just being sensitive to the people that are around you. If you notice people that aren't in that space, just have a listening ear to hear, you know, where they're at currently. You know, it might just be a specific season for them at that time that they can just work through, but additional weight and expectations could prolong that recovery for that person.
You're so right, Dr. Tishana, because people get so locked in to trying to do the traditional stuff that everybody say you have to do. And if you don't do these things, they make people feel like they're not really celebrating the holiday, you know, and we get so caught up in the way it's supposed to be done and what we see, you know, that oftentimes we lose ourselves, you know what I mean, trying to paint a picture of what people say Christmas should be or Thanksgiving should be.
Yeah. And I think it would be a really interesting, but I think necessary turn if this year, whether we are experiencing holiday blues or we are not, if we, and I think it's just a good rule of thumb anyway, but just this idea that sometimes people are fighting battles that you know nothing about. Absolutely. And you never know when that is. You know what I mean? You can never predict, oh, they going through something, so let me be nice. Nope. Be mindful all the time. Be selfless all the time.